was high. I don't know if it was like tsunami. I don't know. But I know it was hard. But yet and still, Jesus is walking. The water is low. He's walking. A wave comes in, lift him up. He's still walking. Hear what I'm saying? The wind began to blow. He's walking. The wave began to flow. He's still walking. He's walking on a turbulent sea. I said, wait, you don't have to stop doing what you're doing. I'm good. Because when he stepped on it, he could have just said, peace be still, but no. I want to show my heart over everything that I created. So you don't have to calm down. You don't have to stop blowing. You don't have to stop waiting. I'm still going to walk. Some of us need to take that attitude. That in spite of what's going on in my life, I'm still going to walk. He's just walking on a turbulent sea. And the disciples, no doubt, are frustrated. They've been toiling, cramping up, hollering at each other, because one needs to stop. Because his arm cramping, his back cramping, he got a cramp in his leg, and they say, why don't you roll? He said, I've been rolling since 6 o'clock, and it's 3 in the morning, and we still ain't getting nowhere. Why don't you roll? So now, no doubt it's a hostile situation. No doubt bad feelings start to come up. You know how we do. We get frustrated, boy, we let it all out. Some of it want to tell you anyway. Frustrated. Nothing's going right. They're rowing and rowing. Now they're at odds with each other. But not realizing that their help is on the way. You just keep on rolling. Your help is on the way. Watch this, I'm going to take the seat. Take the seat. He comes to them walking on the water. And the text said he would have passed them by. Uh-oh, watch this. They're in the ship. They're rowing. Fussing with each other. And I know Peter was probably cussing. Y'all know Peter cuss you out in a minute. And they're in the boat, not making no progress. And the Bible says they were looking around, and Jesus had not come to them yet. They're rowing. Here comes Jesus. Just walking on the waves and through the wind. And he would have. Just passed them by. You ever have for those of us that have to catch the bus sometimes? And you standing at the corner, and the bus they look up and they see something. Now notice this. They're struggling, they're tired, and no doubt in their mind, they think they're seeing something. They think they're seeing a sea ghost. But one said, you see that? The other one said, yeah, I see it. Ask the other one, you see that? Yeah, I see it. The Bible said they all saw him, but they thought it was a ghost. Many believe that the fact that Jesus, the Bible says he would have passed them by, many believe that it was simply a theophany from Old Testament. I beg to differ with that. I'm not in that category that believes that when it was in the Old Testament, we understand that God had not yet manifested himself in person, so God would show up in images. You know, when he led Israel in the cloud and in the fire, that was a theophany. When he told Moses to look at the burning bush, God was there, it was a theophany. When Moses said, Lord, if I found favor in your sight, let me look upon you. God said, you can't behold my glory, but when I do, I'll hide you in the cleft of the rock, and you can see my hind part. It wasn't actually God, it was a theophany of God. But I'm not one in that mind. Because this was not a time for God to be showing a theophany. These boys was in trouble. These boys needed help. And God was just not showing up to walk past them. Because if it was a theophany is an image. It's not God. It's an image of him. But we know in the New Testament that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We know in the New Testament, because if it was a theophany, who was it that stepped in the boat? If it was a theophany, who was it that said, be of good cheer in his eyes? So they see what they think is a ghost. But notice this. Notice this. When Jesus shows up, they were facing a fear of the sea and the wind. When Jesus shows up, even though they don't recognize it's him, he takes away that first fear. And now they're afraid of the ghost. Yeah. Before Jesus showed up, they were fearful because of the wind and the sea. When the help shows up, even though they don't recognize it as help, he takes away that first fear. Now they're just afraid of the ghost. And when their eyes become open to who it is, now they're not afraid at all. So he comes to them and they think it's a ghost. And notice this. Jesus does a wild thing. He doesn't come directly on the boat. They all would have dropped dead. I don't know. I would have been gone. I'd have been gone. In the middle of the sea, pitch black dark, and the wind blowing, and the sea rising, and then you see a ghost, I'd have been gone. They'd have buried me at sea. So when Jesus doesn't come, y'all, watch this, and he doesn't get immediately on the boat, it would have scared them to death because they were already afraid of what they thought they saw. The Bible says they all saw him, but they were doubting in their mind if it was actually him. How can he walk So as he's approaching them, they're not crying out for help because they recognize it's Jesus. They think it's him. That's a ghost right there. And so as he's approaching them, in his mind, he's like, I'm just going to walk right on past. Until you recognize who I am. How long have you been walking with me? And you still don't know that I can do anything with you? How long have you been in church? And you still don't believe that my God will provide? He says, I see you struggling, and I'm coming to your circumstances. But when I get there, because you're not crying out in faith, he gave the impression as if he was going to just keep on. You mean to tell me I got off my high place and came down to land, and while I was in my high place, I was praying to the Father for you, and not only that, but I began to get my deity on, and I walk through the storm for you, I walk through the rain for you, and when I get there to rescue you, you don't have faith that I'm able to do it. I should just keep on. He could have sent an angel. He could have just spoke a word. But he wanted to show up in person. Look at Luke 24. I'm going to take a seat. Look at Luke 24. Okay, Luke 24. Luke 24 and 28. Luke 24 and 28. Luke 24 and 28. After Jesus was resurrected and he's walking on the road to Emmaus, verse 28 says, and they drew nigh unto the village whither they went, and he made as though he would have gone further. Talking about Jesus. When he was raised from the dead, he saw these disciples walking on the road to Emmaus. And asked them why they were so sad. They asked him, are you new around here? Have not you heard what they've done to the Messiah? And Jesus opened their eyes to reveal to them that I am he. And notice when he gets to the place where they're lodging, he made as if he wanted to keep going. But he did not want to keep going. He wanted them to invite him in. I wish y'all would see this thing. I've told you who I am. I've shown you my power, that I have power over the grave and the death. I want you to invite me in. So he acted like he was going to keep on going. He wanted somebody to say, Lord, abide with us. Jesus. And so it was when he was out on the sea and he walked up to them. All he wanted was for somebody to say, it is the Lord. Yeah. But they thought he was a ghost. And you've been walking with me all